doors. Get the fuck out. Shit. Wiggles, look for night vision in the menu. Hurry up. Come on, hurry up.
I found it. I can see.
Okay, hand me the camera.
We are talking Haunting on Fraternity Row, also known as The Party Crasher. This one is directed by Brant Serson, who also co-wrote this along with Jess Kahn. So, Haunting on Fraternity Row, this is a kind of teen party movie. If you've seen things like National Lampoon's Animal House, or probably more recently Bad Neighbours, it's a kind of huge, kind of massive party that we have in America with these kind of fraternities. We don't really have that in the UK, so almost it's kind of a foreign concept to us Brits, I will say. But apparently you have these kind of like these huge parties of students, people at university and stuff like that. And they are, in this story, this particular kind of fraternity house is hosting this huge party. But just before the party starts, they discover there's a secret room in their basement. There's some weird sort of paraphernalia in there. And of course, this room may have housed a demon that was free to kind of roam about and help itself through all these kind of like nubile young flesh that are coming to party and kind of, get their kind of end away. And inevitably the party starts. One thing I really liked about this movie is the amount of extras they have in this. All these party goers. You really do feel like this is a proper, out of control party with literally hundreds of people. And the great thing about that is, you think, how many people is this kind of like, this demonic entity going to take out? Because there's probably at least 300 people in this party. So it kind of gives you a good sense of scale, which I thought was really good. I've got to say as well, I also thought the acting here was pretty good across the board. Now, yes, this might not be a stretch, kind of playing kind of, partying teenagers, but nonetheless, I believed everyone in their roles. Now, and what I also liked was the clear characterization that you have with these kind of different group of friends. For example, within our kind of like group of frat boys, we do have subtle kind of differences in regards to their personality, but they're not so different that they're unbelievably not friends, if that makes sense. So we have, the typical kind of party jock guy. We have the kind of the president, who's a kind of a bit more of a career guy. Then we have the sensitive one, the slightly kind of like nerdish one, but they're never kind of extremes of the personality, so to speak. So you never really feel it's too much of a stretch that these guys will be friends. The only kind of like characterization who I thought was a little cartoonish was the president and his girlfriend. They seemed a little bit kind of like, a little bit too OTT, a little bit kind of too more parody of kind of teen kind of couples that you maybe have. But outside of that, I thought everyone did a really good job of giving you kind of realistic and believable kind of characters that were well acted. Now this movie, I have to say, I almost forgot I was watching a horror film in certain times, because it really just comes, it's a party movie ultimately, and then all of a sudden you have a kind of a couple of scenes of horror, and it'll go back to being a party with other people and stuff like that. So this movie is probably 80% people getting drunk, on drugs, having sex, all the kind of things that young teenage Americans do, of course. So there you go. So it's kind of an odd mix between 80% party movie, 20% horror. So yeah, it's actually quite a lot of fun to watch, because you are watching these people just kind of be complete animals and stuff like that. And there's all sorts of things there. One aspect I really did enjoy with this movie was the fact that all these guys are taking a variety, a lot of drugs. And one of the effects of particularly like weed and stuff is making you paranoid. And the one guy who starts to cotton on, maybe something's going on, they just could have put it down to he's had too much weed and stuff. And that's a legitimate reason why you might think that. So I thought that was quite good. And there's people drunk, just simply not able to kind of like grasp what's going on. So it makes people, obviously, all these kind of these teenagers particularly vulnerable and slow to react and stuff. So it kind of gives it this kind of air of believability to a certain degree. So I actually quite like that. The movie is actually a found footage film, but you'll be forgiven for forgetting that as well. The conceit here is that all the kind of the younger pledges have all got cameras and stuff, and there's a lot of them. So you'll see lots of different scenes from various different angles. But I'm going to transition into the negatives now, because I do feel they go a little bit OTT with that one. There are a good few scenes where you think you simply wouldn't be holding a camera. You know, something you first see a demon coming to chase you, and you're there with your camera, not even just for the light, just with a camera. And also there is a few scenes of dialogue and stuff like that, and thinking, is someone really going to be sat there that close to you filming it? So there's a few instances here where the found footage conceit doesn't really make sense. But because in this story at least there's so many kind of cameras, it doesn't really feel like a found footage film in the strictest sense, apart from a couple of scenes. Outside of the kind of that, and obviously like I say, there's a couple of characters here I feel are a little cartoonish. The main issue for me maybe is the actual supernatural stuff itself. So when we actually see our creature, it's purely CGI, and I've got to say it looks a little bit cartoonish. The design here is they've made like a devilish kind of grin, and it just looks a little cartoonish to me. I didn't really think that design was particularly good, and it just looks a little bit too CGI in places. And it almost feels like they have run out of money or time to maybe kind of sweeten the effects a little bit. And then in addition to that, the actual world building when it comes to the actual creature itself, our climax seems really rushed about what happens. I mean, there's a kind of a reveal, and it just seems a little bit kind of rushed at the end, I've got to say. Overall, I have to say though, I actually enjoyed this movie. I think because it's got a fun kind of atmosphere throughout it, likeable characters that are well defined and well acted, it kept me engaged. Now, yeah, it might not be the most original movie, and we've seen plenty of these kind of like, you know, fraternity, sorority kind of, you know, movies, be they horror or not. But nonetheless, I found this one still quite engaging, despite some of the kind of, maybe kind of predictable and lower budget reasons maybe it's got on there. So I'll give this one a 6 out of 10. To me, it was an above average kind of movie for this sort of sub-genre. I quite enjoyed it. So 6 out of 10, have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave a comment and I'll look forward to you next time. Bye for now.